Happy Monday, Gia. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining. Happy Halloween. Also, it's Halloween already, which is crazy because I feel like the holidays come so fast after this. But it's Monday. I'm Sierra, your health coach and nutritionist with 310 Nutrition. Barbara, thank you so much for joining. Thank everyone for joining. If this is your first live, I want to welcome you. Hopefully it won't be your last. I do these every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So that's what we're doing today. And because it's Halloween, I'm going to be doing a Halloween-esque live feed. It's going to be a little bit more about recovery. Kiara, happy Halloween. Or is it Kiara? Kiara. I don't know. Sorry. But hopefully one of those is right. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing like a Halloween style live feed, but it's going to be more about recovery and like the mindset of how to approach not just Halloween, but like other holidays in general and just life, right? So let's get started. As usual, we will be picking a winner at the end to receive like a little gift. And then if you guys have questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I will always do my best to get to them. I will take like a few questions at the end. So if I missed your question and you like really want to know, then you can try to ask it again at the end. So I'll let you guys know I'm ready for that. But happy Halloween. I hope everyone is having a good day, a fun day, a non-stressful day. Stressful in the sense that like related to Halloween, right? And this is kind of what I wanted to talk about is recovering from Halloween, right? Kind of recovering and how to have a healthy Halloween. And it is the day of. So I think most kids are going to go trick-or-treating. I don't know. It's a week. It's a school night, so I'm not really sure. But let's talk about how to have a healthy Halloween and how to recover, right? If you haven't already been eating like normally, please start now. One of the best things you can do in order to stay on track and to avoid like going crazy with the candy and eating like everything or, you know, eating more than you would anticipate is eating normally. If we are not fed, we are not nourished, we are going to crave foods higher in sugar, higher in fat. We talked about that last week. That's because sugar is an immediate source of energy and fat has a lot of energy in a very small portion, right? So don't set yourself up for cravings by not eating normally. Be sure to eat normally throughout the day. And if you haven't been like that great with it, that's okay. Start now. Have your shake now or have your meal or a snack now, right? And just start eating normally. It's going to help tremendously by the time trick-or-treating rolls around. And you're probably likely going to notice that you don't have as many cravings, right? Hi, Linda. I'm glad you found me. Yay. I'm here every Friday, or my gosh, Monday. I don't know where that came from. Every Monday at 4. So I'm super glad you found me and I hope to see more of you. In addition to eating well, obviously that does include hydrating yourselves, right? So having your water, having your tea, your lemonades, your hydrates. I have been going crazy with the hydrates mixed with vitamin C right now because the winter months I typically tend to get sick and I'm trying to avoid that. And also don't stress over something that hasn't happened, right? So if you're finding like, oh my gosh, I'm like stressed out of it later, or I'm not looking forward to it because I'm going to be around all these foods and treats and snacks and I just don't feel like I have control and I don't want to, like, don't worry about something that hasn't happened yet, right? At best, you're just going to worry yourself all day, right? And if it does happen, well, now you have to relive it twice because you've been stressing about it all day. And now that it's actually happening, you have to relive it again, right? So don't stress about something that hasn't happened, and don't like anticipate something that hasn't happened, right? That's just added stress we do not need. And I want to stress this again. And I posted something this Thursday, I believe. It was like, the problem isn't slipping up. The problem is if you can't do anything perfectly, then not doing it at all, right? 80-20. We need to, especially during the holidays, especially during Halloween, but all the time, remember 80-20, right? So if you go out tonight and you're trick-or-treating with your kids, or you're trick-or-treating, maybe you want to trick-or-treat, and you go around and you get candy and you have a couple pieces of candy, or maybe you have more than you would have thought, or maybe you eat so much candy that now you feel sick and you feel like bloated and just icky, right? And you ate more than you really wanted to. It's okay, okay? It's 80-20. let that be part of your 20%. Don't let one night, one day, one event overshadow everything you've been doing. Okay. So don't forget about the 80/20, and don't worry about something that hasn't happened yet. Okay. Because I know that Halloween, especially because it's like candy related, right, can be something that we kind of stress about. So I want to try to decrease some of that stress and take it away, because there's no point worrying about something that hasn't happened and may not happen, right? And then 80/20. Okay. So let's talk about recovering from Halloween, because depending on where you guys live, Halloween may almost be over for you guys. I know my East Coast peeps, it's like 7 there. So maybe you've already trick or treated. Let's talk about recovering. Have a plan ahead, first of all. Have a flexible daily itinerary. I don't mean you have to wake up and like at 8 a.m. I'm going to wake up, 8:05 I'm going to have my tea, 8:15 I'm going to, like, we don't need it to be that crazy, right? It's a flexible itinerary. But having a to-do list of sort, having a kind of an outline of how your day is going to look is going to help keep you motivated and engaged, and keeping the focus on doing productive things versus trying to obsess over what we did or did not eat the night before, or the candy that's at the house, or whatever's going on, right? So kind of have a daily flexible itinerary to keep you focused on being productive and doing the things that align you with your goals. The next thing is kind of, this is about 80/20. Heather ate a small treat-sized bag of Cheetos. It's after 8 p.m. Just turn off the lights. See, yeah. So after, I mean, depending on where you live, your night already may be over, right? But these are things that we can do tomorrow and in the week of, and also just anytime where we feel like we need to reset or recover, right? So manage your expectations too. This kind of goes along with 80/20. Don't expect perfection. Expect from you only what you would expect from others, right? Treat yourself how you treat others. If you wouldn't berate your friend for having some candy while they were trick-or-treating, or maybe skipping dinner and then kind of eating more candy than anticipated, we wouldn't berate them, right? So don't berate yourself. Manage your expectations and treat yourself with kindness. And again, don't expect things from yourself that you wouldn't expect from anyone else. And if you have expectations for yourself, one of the best things you can do is kind of pause and take a minute and be like, if someone came to me with these expectations, would I be like, oh yeah, that sounds realistic? Or would that be like, what are you doing? Give yourself a break, So manage expectations. Also exercise. And I don't mean you have to go to the gym and like go crazy and take the highest energy, calorie burning, whatever. Just exercise, getting outside, taking a walk if you can, even if it's cold, bundle up, taking your yoga class, taking your cycling class, putting your DVD in downstairs. Do people still use DVDs? I don't know. There's like so many like YouTubes and things, that options, but putting on your at-home workout, watching our health coaches as they do their workouts, revisiting an old one, finding one that you really liked and redoing that again. Hi, Wendy. And just move, right? Not only is it going to, number one, it benefits you physically, but it's going to benefit you emotionally, and it's going to keep your focus on things that are productive versus obsessing over something that flip up that we may have done, right? That really isn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, but we focus on it so much it becomes like our only focal point. And then of course it seems like it's the biggest deal, right? Take this time to try new shake recipes. If you're like really struggling and you feel like, oh my gosh, Halloween just destroyed me, even though I promise you it won't, and it didn't, try new shake recipes. Take this time to experiment and find maybe a new shake that you want to try. Maybe you want, like, you're thinking about an almond joy or something, my favorite candy, by the way, almond joy, and try to make that out of a shake, right? Just experiment. Again, takes your focus off of what's negative and turns it onto something positive, and then you get new shakes to try and drink. And then this one too is kind of, stop me if I'm going too quickly, because I feel like I'm just like lecturing you guys, but I hope that's not how it comes across. But this one I think can be super helpful. Hi, Maria. Is plan to incorporate treats into your day. Because I don't know about you, but and maybe this isn't true for everyone, but if we have times in the day where we plan to enjoy a food without guilt, it's easier to not have guilt, right? Because it's like, hey, I woke up today and I decided that after lunch, I'm going to have 2 or 3 pieces of this, or I'm going to have a slice of this pie that was left over from this party, or whatever. And I'm going to have that after lunch. And then after dinner, I'm going to have maybe a few more pieces of candy or whatever it is, right? Plan these treats into your day because, again, there's nothing wrong with having some candy every now and then. I promise you, you are still going to be on track with your goals and reaching your goals by being flexible, right? And being flexible is a sign of sustainability. Because if our journey isn't flexible, that means we aren't able to mold and adapt to changes. And our journey is not linear. Every day is not going to look the same. We're going to have to make different choices on different days because our days are going to be different, right? So plan to incorporate treats because this can help you with not feeling guilt, even though we shouldn't, regardless. And it gives you something to kind of to structure into your day, right? So it's easier to say like, okay, it's lunch. I said I was going to have these 3 or 4 pieces of candy. That's what I'm going to have. And then you move on, right? So it allows you to enjoy a little bit of foods, but it takes away some of that guilt. I hadn't been in 2 years. I had my carb catcher with me though. I don't feel guilty. I went to Olive Garden. Ooh, early voting. Yay, Maria. I early voted too. We should all early vote because who wants to wait in line? I don't want to wait in line. I just want to early vote. But yeah, and that's part of it too, right? Like something like Olive Garden, maybe on Halloween you go out and you have food or you eat or whatever with friends. It's one meal. It's one day. I promise you, it is not going to affect your journey as much as we sometimes think things will affect our journey, right? So good for you. I'm glad you went. I hope you enjoyed it. When I was eating meat, I would always, from Olive Garden, I would always get the chicken parmigiana or something. So good. Those are the times that I actually miss like eating animal products. Okay, let's talk. I'm on my second of 4 weeks that I'm home just for the dog weekend. I go to the camp with my husband and father-in-law. Second of 4 weeks. Oh, I wish I could just spend that much time with the dog. But hopefully you're not like sick or something or like injured. If you are, then I hope that you're recovering very well and very quickly. But time with the dog is never a bad thing in my opinion, even when they're being like little buttheads, which my dog can be. Let's talk about leftovers because I think this is something that can cause us additional stress and kind of not just consume us during Halloween, but kind of follow us after, right? Is because if we go, like if you're like me last year, I got a bunch of candy. I was super excited to hand it out to kids. I had one trick-or-treater all night. It was very sad. I was actually very sad about it. But I had all this candy that in my house now that I need to get rid of, right? Like I got to do something with it. I just can't sit here. So leftovers, whether that be like candy you bought that wasn't given out, or maybe your kids brought home a lot, there are a few things we can do, right? Number one, remember it's 80-20. Even if you have a few pieces of candy every day, it's okay. It's not necessarily, we tend to put a lot of focus on what we eat, which is important. Of course, we want to be eating a balanced diet of, our fats and healthy carbs and proteins and fibers and all these things. Of course, and we do, right? But that eating that way is not negated by having a candy bar or having foods that we eat less often. It doesn't take away the nutrition. It doesn't take away all that we've been doing, but we tend to put so much focus on food that we think, oh my gosh, even having one bag of, I'm just gonna say Cheetos because that's what came up. We tend to obsess and we think, oh my God, I had Cheetos. Like how bad of me. It's like that, the Cheetos is not the problem. The problem is Cheetos for meals, and instead of eating meals you're eating maybe that like fast food burger and you're not getting in all those nutrients, you're not having balanced meals, and you're eating more and more foods that we should be eating less of, right? But it's not necessarily the food itself, it's having too much of those foods, right? So eating one Snickers, eating one bag of Cheetos is not as big of a deal as we think it is, as long as it's like an isolated incident, right? And we're still eating the foods that we need to. So yes, and this is exactly the first thing I was going to mention is when we have our leftover candy, give it away. Make little goodie bags, right? Like Halloween's over, but we still have candy and stuff we can give out. Make goodie bags. If you want to like actually do something fun with it, put it in a little goodie bag, write like a little thank you note to your friend or your coworker mail it to someone in your family and just give them a little thank you and just say like appreciation for them and the things that they do, and send a little candy their way, right? You can send it to your kid's school in little gift bags and just, give it out, give it to your kid's teacher, send it to work, send it to your nurses, right? Like if you want to have leftover candy and you find yourself like delivering a baby or something in Nevada and you want to come to my hospital and drop off candy, we always accept food. But yeah, you can give it away. You can do little fun things with it. You don't have to, but you can, right? Another thing that can work is out of sight, out of mind. For some people, they're like, no, if I know it's there, it's not going to help me. But out of sight, out of mind. If you can't see it every day, sometimes this actually does happen to me, usually never with food because I know what food I have and I know where it is at all times, basically. But, in like life, like clothing or something, if I put something in my closet where I don't see it every day, I forget I have it until I'm like going through my closet. I'm like, oh, I forgot about this, right? So maybe you're one of those people where as long as you're just not having to see it every day and like open your pantry and whatever and see it there every time, you can just put it away and you'll kind of forget about it. Try that, out of sight, out of mind, right? Because I'm sure our kids wouldn't appreciate us giving away all their candy, right? So if you can't see it and that helps you, do that, right? So give it away, out of sight, out of mind. Hold on. Also, mindset, you guys. Again, I know I say this a lot and I know I say 80-20 a lot. It's like a broken record, but it's important. And it is important because this is when 80-20 comes into play, right? So if you're stressed out, like, oh my gosh, I have all this candy in my house, I just don't know what to do, I'm so stressed that I'm going to eat it. Number one, feed yourself normally and appropriately. Your cravings will be more intense if you are not properly fed. We talked about this last week. If you're having cravings every now and then, congratulations, you're human, right? But if you're having cravings like consistently and constantly more often than not, it's probably a sign that you need to eat more food, because we will crave high sugar, high fat, because sugar is an immediate source of energy and fat is a lot of energy in a smaller size, right? So help yourself out by reducing those cravings, number one, by making sure you're properly fed and hydrated. And two, the mindset, 80-20. It's okay to have a little candy or whatever it is every now and then, right? It is not, your success does not ride or die on one individual food that you have eaten, right? Oh, this is so sweet, Heather. Some of the old folks' homes love getting candy from people. That's such a good idea too. Yeah, visit your local, like, I don't know, what are they, what, like nursing homes or assisted livings, and give out candy there. I mean, ask first, like, I'm sure that they would be fine with it, but ask first. But yeah, that's such a good idea too. And it gives you that like feel good feeling that you're doing something for others. So many opportunities to make something meaningful and fun and, feel good about yourself by utilizing this candy or whatever it may be, that instead of stressing about, you're now turning that into something like so positive, right? So that's also a really good option. Thank you for bringing that up. But also, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the mindset. It is, we should not attach our success to any individual food, right? And this too, sometimes you have that one little tiny piece of candy so you don't go crazy and eat the whole bag. And I relate to this totally, and not everyone is this way, but if you relate to this will probably make sense to you. But if I'm craving something, like whatever it is, and I'm like, I don't really want it. I'm trying to I'm trying not to eat it. Let me make sure I'm not like just hungry first or thirsty, and I eat some food and I drink my water and I do something else and I'm still thinking about that later. I should just have a piece of that, whatever it is, because if I don't, I'm going to eat everything else, and because my brain wants this and I'm eating this to try to satiate this craving, but my brain knows that's not what I want and I want that. And so instead of eating that, I do more damage by eating everything else. Even though it's healthy, I'm eating more than I would need to because I'm still hungry. Like that brain craving, that hunger craving is still there, and it's not being satisfied with these non-craving foods. So even though I didn't eat that craving food, I ate everything else, and now I still feel icky, right? Whereas I could have just had one or two slices or pieces or whatever of this, and I would have been fine. And then I would have moved on, and I wouldn't have been thinking about it anymore, and I would have been more on track because I just had this one thing versus eating everything else to try to compensate for what I couldn't have, right? And I know that not everyone is that way, but if that is you and you're like, someone just said that's totally me, then just have that little bit, right? And that's where planning it into your day can help too, because you already know after lunch or after dinner or whatever, I'm going to have this, right? Yes, have one piece, get it over with, and move on. Again, that's a far better option than eating everything else, like because you're attempting to make up for this craving that you eat, right? Um, exactly, Fran. You eat around the craving. I like that term. You eat around the craving, but the craving's still there. You're still gonna have it, right? So have a little bit, and move on, and don't attach your success to that one food, any single food, because this is not about any one single food, right? And again, this is all in moderation. Like, yes, we say treat yourself, we say enjoy these foods, and we should, because we need to be flexible. If we are not inflexible, I think the word is inflexible. But if we're not flexible in our journey, we're not going to be successful long term, because we're assuming that every single day is going to be the same and every problem has the same solution and every day is going to look the same. And in an ideal world, maybe it would, but that's just not realistic. So we need to build a sustainable approach, and that means being flexible, and sometimes that means 80-20, right? Again, 80% is so much more than 20%. So even in that 20%, I'm not saying like do whatever you want, have fun, like eat like whatever, but enjoy the food and don't ride the guilt train forever after, because 20% is so much less than 80. And again, someone just said this, no one eats perfectly 100% of the time. No one. I'll say it one more time. No one. Not even me. Okay? Not even me. So don't manage your expectations. Don't manage your expectations. Don't beat yourself up, but do manage your expectations. Oh, thank you, Maggie. I appreciate it. Sometimes I wash it. If you don't give in small, yes, this too is big. If you don't give in to like small things, sometimes that can turn into a bigger thing, right? And this can actually, if we look at this in the extreme, which some of us do get there, this is the binge restrict cycle. And I'm going to post something about this tomorrow. I think I'm going to post it. Well, now I said it, so I'm going to post it. But our intentions are good, right? We start out, I'm going to kill this. I'm going to do amazing. I'm doing, everything perfectly, because of course we want to do good. But then that turns into, all right, well, I do want a little bit of this, but I'm not going to have it. I can't have it because I'm not allowed. And, then that turns into like, okay, well, I still want something, and it just grows and grows and grows and grows. And it gets to this point where we're trying to abide by such strict rules and regulations that we have set for ourselves. No one can live up to that. So of course we completely fall off track, and then we eat everything that we should be eating less of. We eat it all. And then we feel really bad about it, and we feel guilty, and we guilt trip ourselves. And then in our brain, we say, okay, this time I'm starting over. This time I'm going to do it. And then we start over, and we get that initial high of like, yes, this is exciting. This is it. This is the time where I'm going to change, and, we're going to do it. And then we set those strict restrictions again on ourselves. And then we get to a point again where it's just too much. And then we completely fall off again, and we binge and we eat these foods that we're trying to eat less of, and then we feel really bad about it again. And you see, it's this whole vicious cycle, right? And one of the best ways to get ourselves out of that cycle is to manage our expectations, and 80-20 can help you with that, right? Because it's a realistic and sustainable approach. And not only can it help you reach any weight loss related goal or weight related goal, it can help you through overall health, because if you're eating well 80% of the time, that 20% of the time is not going to, over influence or surpass whatever the 80% that you're doing, right? So keep that in mind this Halloween. And I hope that everyone truly is like able to enjoy the holidays and go trick-or-treating with your friends or whatever, and enjoy it, and not spend the whole time in your brain using up all this precious brain space being stressed and worrying about something that maybe hasn't even happened yet. And even if it does happen, beating yourself up about it, because that does not serve you. That incident or whatever is not going to affect you as much as we think it does. I promise you. So I truly, truly hope everyone is enjoying or did enjoy their Halloween, and can be at least now a little bit less stressful, if at all. A lot of times the biggest challenge is not bringing the crazy crap you shouldn't have into the house. Yeah. And sometimes, and that's a perfect example of why we need to be flexible in our journey, because oftentimes we don't just live with ourselves. We have other people that live with us, right? If it was just us, we could have exactly the foods that we want and nothing else. But we live with people who maybe aren't following our lifestyle, and maybe they're kids and they need a very diverse diet, right? And that is why it's so important to be able to be flexible and to have the ability to kind of mold and adapt and come up with solutions to those challenges as they present themselves, right? Because it would be great to only have, the foods that we want in our house, but what do we do now when we go out to eat with friends? Like, we need to have a flexibility to be able to work through these things. If trick-or-treaters come here, they're getting an Atkins bar. Hey, that's pretty funny. And also, like, I've never had them, but I used to eat those like fiber bars. They were really good. Oh, thank you, Heather. I appreciate it. And I really wanted to do this like before Halloween, but then I felt the whole like Facebook thing, and I really, really wanted to cover the calories and cravings thing. So I ended up kind of just molding this to be recovering from Halloween, because I've been with 310 for 6 going on 7 years, and I see it, and I think this is something that is worth revisiting. So even though I didn't do like a prep for Halloween, we can talk about how to recover and how to make the most out of the rest of your day, right? Which starts with feeding yourself appropriately, so you're not setting yourself up for these crazy binges or like crazy indulgences later. So that's really all I have for today, you guys. I really hope that this has been helpful, and I truly, truly hope that this has allowed you guys to be maybe a little bit less stressed and like just enjoy the holiday. Understand it's one day. Even if you have candy left over in the house, there are things you can do. If you find yourself just stressing out about it, take a break and find solutions to that stressor, right? Give the candy away, out of sight, out of mind, whatever it looks like to you, to help you be successful and not waste so much energy being stressed out, because we don't need that, right? Not to mention the cortisol response that happens with stress, right? So we don't need that. So if there are any questions, I'll give like a couple minutes or seconds to see if there's any questions. I try to get to all of them, but like, it's crazy up here. Sometimes I'm like trying to breathe and talk and think at the same time, and it's like a lot. So I think I got to most of them, but of course, you guys don't have to wait till Mondays. If you have questions, you can always message me, email me, call me, beat me if you want to reach me anytime, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. So, all right, let's do the winner. Who is it? Who's getting the gift on this Halloween live feed? I need to know. Fran Polamini. I don't know how to say your last name. So Fran, yay. Okay, super excited, Fran. Thank you, Fran. And also everyone for tuning in on this weekend, and not this weekend, this Halloween, to enjoy time with me. Again, I super appreciate you guys showing up, and I'm already looking forward to next week. So I will see you then. Bye.